Part 2. Monday, November 16th. Hi, I thought I'd give an update since a lot of people have been personal messaging me asking for one. It's now been 20 days since I found out my wife was trying to cheat on me with my friend and the situation has become hellish. I gave her a month to get out and she's been sleeping in the spare room, but it's clear now she doesn't have any intention of going after she got in the ear of my mother. She doesn't have anywhere to go at any rate, but that's not my problem. I've seen my divorce lawyer multiple times, and am now in the process of drawing up a divorce petition and having my wife serve divorce papers. I've also opened my own bank account and taken 50% of the balance from our shared account. The atmosphere around the house has been weird, to say the least. The living room has turned into a no man's land where no one frequents as we both spend the majority of our time in our rooms. I've also intentionally been working late a lot so I don't have to interact with her much. I had been completely ignoring her, but after reading about the 180, have started implementing that and been civil if a little cold towards her. I'm so glad I did this as I was beginning to feel like a monster refusing to acknowledge her existence. It was not the right way to behave and I ended up feeling like the one who had wronged her, rather than the other way around. The only time I broke from the 180 was when I walked into the bathroom last week and she was sitting on the floor by the bath crying. I helped her up and instinctively hugged her, though it was more of a there type hug than one with much love attached to it. The sad thing is that I'm so suspicious of her now, that I wouldn't put it past her to be waiting on me coming in so she could put on a performance. The thing is that probably isn't even true, but this is the sort of shit that's going through my head in this environment. It's just toxic. She's been crowing about how she'll do anything and everything to save this marriage, anything to prove to me that it was just a silly mistake, so I brought up a lie detector test. I don't plan on ever getting one done, wouldn't even know where to start, I just wanted to gauge her reaction. She was all for it, well until a few hours later, when she came to me, tablet in hand, going on about how inaccurate they are, and that anxiety and nervousness can throw up false readings, and with her and her anxiety disorder and all. I just laughed, wasn't even a normal chuckle either. It started as a bit of a cackle and ended in a childish giggle. It appears she would do everything to save this marriage, well everything except take a lie detector test that is. It doesn't even matter anyway, I meant what I said in my original post, every morsel of love I had for her dissipated into the atmosphere after I read her say those horrible things. I don't see her as my true love anymore, the person I could tell anything to and would trust with my life. I just see trash that needs to be taken out before it stinks the place up. Jacket holder has been the talk of the town since I exposed him to our friend group a few weeks back. It's safe to say he has no friends left among us and has been completely ostracized. I tried phoning him a few times but he refused to answer, then blocked my number. Duck that little rat, I hope it was worth it. I've spoken to my mother multiple times about this and during a heated argument asked her why she was taking my wife's side? Like, was there something she wasn't telling me here? What was she expecting? Us to live like roommates? Go on like nothing happened? It's ridiculous. She said she has always seen my wife as the daughter she never had but always wanted. My mother had a stillborn daughter before I was born and it has haunted her, so she latched on to my wife and has done since we got together. As I said previously, they have a close bond. The fact my wife doesn't have any family and only a few friends who have their own busy lives and families means if I threw her out she would be all alone, and my mom thinks that's unacceptable, especially during a pandemic. She tried to get me to come to a compromise, saying that in 3 or 4 months we should look at it again and see where we are mentally, and is pushing me to try couples counseling before I throw in the towel. I'm not doing that. The thought of being in the same house as my wife over Christmas makes me feel ill. She'll want to do it right as she does every year and it'll be a complete shit show. My dad, God love him, has never been much of a talker. Never up nor down, just always there. He's a quiet, proud, but timid man, and my mother's word has always been the one that matters in our house. People on here have been telling me that I'm selfish and spoiled as it's not my house and I have no right to make demands, but it's now a case of my wife or me for my parents. If worst comes to worst, I'm ready to walk out the door and never come back. Duck this house. I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror with some semblance of self-respect, and someone has to keep their word in this debacle. If I do leave, my friend has said I can stay with him for a few weeks or so till I get myself sorted. If I do walk out that door though, I'm done with my parents. I'll never speak to them again in my life. They'll probably see it as me giving up on them, me walking away without trying to at least have a go at fixing things first. I see it as them choosing someone who broke my heart over me. Like, what will be the logistics of this once I'm gone? Just her staying there herself, my mother and father looking after a backstabber while their flesh and blood goes off alone? A little more info on the house. My parents let us move in a year after our wedding. It was an apparent belated wedding gift, Although that was just the chatter from them at the time, they were always planning on moving out and moving us in. I've spent tens of thousands on it over the years, but that's neither here nor there. I have fantasies of leaving this all behind, going somewhere new and starting again, but I don't have anywhere else to go. I've lived in this town all my life, it's all I know. Am I being too harsh here? I'm literally ready to slingshot my parents right out of my life, but I feel so torn. Why am I the one who has to lose everything and everyone? I've tried to be good, and I always thought you make your own luck, and that good things happen to good people. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am, maybe I deserve all I duck and get. Wednesday, December 2nd. Well, since this morning I no longer call that house home. I saw on the calendar that my wife had a hospital appointment with her ophthalmologist, so knowing she would be gone for a few hours, I took that as an opportunity to get my stuff together and move out, which I have. After getting my things moved and sorted, I put the house keys on the kitchen table, along with the divorce papers I received from the divorce lawyer last week, and was on my way. I've blocked both my wife and mother's numbers, and any communication I have with my wife going forward will be done through my lawyer. In terms of my living situation, I'm staying with a friend for a week or two, but hopefully, I should be in my own rented place before Christmas. I haven't spoken to my parents in a few weeks. Last time we spoke was via text, and I tried to tell my mother, in explicit detail, the things my wife was saying during her text to Jacket Holder. Why it hurt me so much, and why I didn't think it was her first time doing it with the whole "I'm great at keeping secrets" comment, and thus could never trust her again. My mother texts back saying she couldn't speak to me when I was like this, and she would let me cool off. She tried to phone me a few days ago and I blanked her call, and has said a bit further up, since today have blocked her number. I feel so let down by my parents, and at this point, it almost feels worse than the original betrayal from my wife. The way I'm feeling right now, I don't think I'll ever speak to them again. I think in times of strife, you look to your family to be strong for you, to be a rock and give you, the wronged one, support. My parents have been weak, they've made me feel like the one in the wrong, like I'm overreacting, and it's me that's ripping this family apart. Well, it's not. I never asked them to move mountains for me, just move my cheating wife out of the house, and they made their choice. My father also had the chance to put his foot down for once in his life and stand up for me, but didn't. You make your choices and you live with them, I guess. Reading some of the comments on here from my previous posts, people have been saying things like, "I threw in the towel so easily. I was looking for a way out and didn't love my wife because I didn't try hard enough to save things," but that's not true. I loved my wife more than anyone on this earth, and I was broken when I discovered what she was doing. I think we all have boundaries, and once those boundaries have been crossed, things change irrevocably. When I read those horrible texts, something changed inside of me. I fell out of love with her, like being snapped out of a spell in the movies. Anything tried after that is just delaying the inevitable. I have to say that I'm interested in the whole dynamic of their relationship now that I'm gone. Like, are my parents going to continue supporting her knowing that it has finished their relationship with their son? As for me, I'd love to travel. My wife hated flying, so most of our holidays had been to southern England, the likes of Newquay and Torquay and Cornwall and Devon, so it would be great to travel abroad again. The last time I was abroad was when I was 20 for a mate's holiday in Greece, so 13 years ago. I'd love to see a bit of America, so once this pandemic calms down, I've definitely got my sights on the States. Thanks. Bye. Wednesday, May 26, 2021. It's been over 7 months since I first posted on Reddit, and I honestly thought that was it for me, as I didn't need any more advice. I had made my decisions and done what I said I would, but I got a phone call this morning that has dragged me back into the mire. I have moved 15 miles away, changed my phone number, and am still in the process of divorcing my wife. She has completely ignored all the requests from my divorce lawyer to cooperate, which has hindered things. We're now in the process of putting in an application for deemed service and trying to have her served officially by the courts. If she continues to ignore, then I can proceed with a divorce without her input. Well, this morning while at work, I got a phone call from my friend telling me that my dad was trying to get in touch as my mother is not well, and would it be okay if he gave him my number. I said okay, and my dad phoned to tell me Mom is in hospital. She's stable, though not great. Obviously, I was shocked, as I've not heard my dad's voice for so long. It was also the most emotional I've ever heard him. He told me my mom really wants to see me, so would I meet him at the hospital tonight and go in and see her with him. I said okay, and I've arranged to meet him outside the hospital. I ended up going home from work as I couldn't concentrate, and I'm climbing the walls here wondering if I've made the right decision, wondering if I'm about to get dragged back into this shit show that I walked away from. I've never felt so nervous in my life, and the lack of control I have over the situation has sent my mind spiraling in lots of different directions. I feel like I'm walking into a burning building blindfolded with no idea where the exits are. Why does she want to speak to me now? Has she had a change of heart? Unless she's also had a personality transplant while in there, I find that unlikely. Will my wife be there? I have no interest in ever seeing her again. I'm still angry about what transpired with them and the way they took my cheating wife's side over mine. I've been going back and forth in my head about going at all, but I will go. I was also thinking about seeing if she wanted to speak over the phone instead, but not sure if she would do that or even if she's well enough. I feel like the bad guy here and that I might have caused this from walking away. How would you handle this? Saturday, May 29th. Sorry about the late update. I've spent the last few days trying to digest what happened and how I feel. So I did end up going to the hospital on Wednesday night after much toing and froing. I was genuinely about to back out at the last minute as I felt my bottle crashing, but I needed some closure and knew that I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't go and something happened. When I drove into the hospital car park, I had this surreal feeling of paranoia and was half expecting my wife to jump out from behind a bush or something. I met my dad at the entrance and it was pretty awkward as he tried to hug me and I said no. I then said if my wife is here in any way, shape or form, then I am about turning and out the door. He assured me she wasn't and we made our way to the ward where Mum was. When I saw my mother, I got the fright of my life as she looked like she had been in the wars. Never have I seen her look so frail. She's got an extreme black eye, also a lot of bruising and purple/yellowness down one side of her face. She took a serious fall, broke 2 ribs, shattered her elbow and banged one side of her head/face on the ground. So elbow, ribs then head in that order as she went down. She looked zombified but perked up when she saw me. She told me how much she's missed me, and that she wasn't sure she'd ever see me again. I told her if she had really wanted to get a hold of me she could have done. We spoke for a bit about what exactly had happened, and how she was down for a few hours before my dad found her. Also that she was determined to get back to normal and mend bridges with me. I brought up my wife and that I had been pushing for a divorce, but she was either ignoring the letters or wasn't getting them, so I asked if she's still in the house. Mum admitted she was and Dad started to look uncomfortable. I just looked away in disgust. Mum started saying how lost my wife is without me and that she's not in a good way. I knew then that nothing will change. She's not had an epiphany or seeing things from a new perspective. She just wants the status quo back. She said that the house is my home and always will be, but I told her I don't want it. It means nothing to me anymore and all it holds are bad memories. I stayed for under an hour all in all. When I left I said if I want to get in contact I will, but don't be waiting over the phone for me to call, as you might be waiting a while. When Dad walked me out he asked if I would keep in touch with him and I said I would. Whether that's right or wrong I don't know, time will tell. When I got home my emotions were a bit all over the place, from sadness to anger, but I'm glad I went. Couldn't help think about my wife as well, and what she once meant to me. It'll never not hurt. When I think about everything that's happened in the last 7 months, it honestly doesn't feel real. The speed at which everything fell apart was just spellbinding. I know life comes at you fast, especially when you're not paying attention, and I wasn't paying attention. It was just sheer luck I found out about her trying to cheat on me, cosmic coincidence, nothing more. I never saw the signs or put everything together. I just saw something on her watch and it tore my ducking life apart. I know now that it wasn't the only time. I know it in my heart. I see what she is and feel no love for her, only contempt. I feel she stole the best years of my life. When I think about all the good times, they're just soured. It feels like someone else's life, not mine. My friend was saying I should see a therapist or something to try and let everything out, or else this will fundamentally change who I am and the way I build relationships going forward. That's something I'm going to do, I think, as I do feel a bit broken inside. The last 7 months have been the worst of my life, but I'd rather they happen than been kept in the dark. I'm just hurt that it happened the way it did, but you can't choose the way someone ducks you over, I suppose. You just have to learn from it. I remember reading about loyalty being the most undervalued character trait, and I see that now. It's probably because you don't really know if someone is truly loyal to you until, well, they're not. It's not something you deal with every day, but now more than ever, I know how important a trait it is. Thanks you for watching. Everyday New Movies. See you soon.